This is Rebecca with Red True Crime, and I'm on here tonight to talk about an update with the school shooting in Georgia. So, if anyone's been following the news, which I think you would have at this point, um, you would know that both the father of the boy and the boy themselves have both been charged with, I guess it's murder and attempted murder um, in this case. Now, the father's being charged with manslaughter, but I guess what I want to know is where do you all fall on this? Because do you think the father should be charged? I'd love to know your comments on that and your questions because I'd like to see more accountability on these because the parents really for a lot of these cases are not involved with these kids and they're not keeping tabs on them, so they don't know what they've been plotting. I know that was a situation with Columbine. I know that was a situation here recently in Michigan with that boy. His parents actually gave him the gun, and that's the same thing with this case in Atlanta or outside Atlanta. The father gave this kid the gun and knowingly knew he had a gun, which is why prosecutors are charging him with manslaughter, 4 cases of manslaughter. But like I said, I would love to know what you all think about this. So go ahead and give me your thoughts and your questions about this. Like, do you think the father should be charged? Cause I think they did the right thing here. I know Sandy Hook, had the boy not killed his mother first, she should have been charged for what he did to Sandy Hook. Um, Uvalde, Texas, uh, no one, but the boy. Well, the boy wasn't charged because he was killed. But um, I don't know in that case if anyone really should have been charged because it sounds like when I did my research on that, that kid had a lot of issues, and I don't know. It seemed like they were trying to get him help, but it just didn't take. But yeah, the father and the son have both been charged in this case, and I think it's spot on. I'd love to know why this kid did this because he doesn't follow the same standard of school shooters. A lot of them like to go down with self deletion or assisted deletion by cop, and this boy didn't do that because the resource officer that was there drew a weapon on him and he dropped that gun. Like, he was like, okay, you got me. So I would love to know what you all think about that because I don't think he wanted to die. Like I said, usually in these situations, the perpetrators want to die along with everybody else. They want to go down in infamy, and this boy did not do that. So, like I said, he was 14. Maybe he was terrified. I don't know, but I don't know. Like I said, school had only been in maybe a couple weeks, so I would love to know what it was that he brought to this, why he did this, and I've yet to see anything about a motive as to why he did this. But like I said, the father's been charged with manslaughter, 4 counts. Do you think they were right to do that? Hello, how's Pakistan? I'm sure it's hot. And I know, and with you being in Pakistan, do you think our gun laws are too lax here in the States? Do you think it's too easy to get a gun? I think it is. I don't think they do nearly enough background checks or checks in general for people who get these guns, especially, people who are long-time gun owners. There should be. Hello. Farouk, are you asking where I'm from? I'm sorry, I'm going to answer in the comments as they pop up here. But like I said, the father's been charged. I think it was right to charge the dad in this because he did give the kid the gun. Okay. But because like JD Vance, the Republican candidate for VP, made a statement that these school shootings are becoming commonplace, and I can't disagree with him on that. I don't think we should just adapt to them. No, we need to figure out how to better. Okay. Well, let's see. Catalina Salazar asked me to read out loud what she's saying. This is her first YouTube channel, so she's saying hi. But ban guns. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the easy thing to do. But unfortunately, this thing called the Constitution that says we have the right to bear arms. So to do that, we would have to rewrite the Constitution, which I don't see anybody doing that. But I do think we should have more checks and balances in place. People with psychiatric issues shouldn't have a gun. I truly believe that. Like Sandy Hook. Adam, I think his name is Lazar. That was the guy who shot up that elementary school in Connecticut. Oh, I love you, Slay. Okay, thank you. Um, that boy was autistic and definitely should not have had access to a gun. My oldest child is also autistic. He's 24. I would not give him access to a weapon like that. Okay. Ketalea said I'm not sure what that means. But because in his case, my son's case, he's very impulsive. I don't think he would think things through. And if he got angry, which he does get angry, I don't know if he would have enough forethought to not get a gun and react that way. I have Riz. Okay. Ban guns, ban wars. Okay, Andy. Well, I mean, like I said, banning the guns, banning the wars. Unfortunately, wars are a boost to the economy because you've got all that contracting to build weapons and to build tanks and whatnot. I'm leaving the life because I have to go to bed. Could you read this out loud? Okay, Catalina. Yeah, I just did. But government gangs, YH. Okay. There's just so much that that's out there. I mean, because you've got the Constitution says we have the right to bear arms. You've got the Constitution that, I mean, again, keep in mind the right to bear arms came about in the 1700s because we were being governed by a foreign body. England was running this country. Well, what little we had of this country because there wasn't a whole lot here yet. I mean, everything was being owned by the indigenous people of the Americas, and then our European asses came over here and kind of kicked them to the curb. Hell yeah, muskets and cannons. Yeah, purple. Thank you. But that was the whole point because when we were colonists, we were forbidden to have weapons because we had British soldiers here that were kind of running everything, but they didn't want us to have weapons, and that was something they did in England, Ireland, Scotland, because when they were controlling those countries, they didn't want those citizens to have arms either. The Scottish or the Irish, they were really big on trying to keep them under their rule. So when people were immigrating here, coming here, it was for religious freedom. It was for basically freedom, to be who they were going to be. So when the Constitution was written in 1770, or Declaration of Independence was written in 1776, which the Constitution was written like right around that same time, they were putting in laws that made sense at that time. The right to bear arms, the religious freedom. These are things they did not have in Europe. That's why they came here. So, which is great. We have the right to say what we want. We have the right to follow whatever religion we want. We have the right to bear arms. And these are all freedoms that, in a sense, we have, I think, gone completely haywire with, you know. Religion, not so much, unless you want to count Scientology, and I think that's just weird. Yeah, free speech. Yeah, exactly. My late husband used to say, "Yeah, you have the right to say whatever the heck you want, but you do not have the right to not face the consequences of what you say." Very true statement. And we're going to see a lot of that with this presidential race, you know. And I knew when the shooting happened, this was going to be an issue, you know, with gun control, with, you know, schools having appropriate protection. You know, and you had that company, you know, those people who want to defund the police, but we need the police. You know, Uvalde, I mean, in Texas, when that happened a couple years ago, or was that last year? I mean, they're all kind of running together for me. Those parents standing out there for 90 minutes waiting for the police to do something. It is happening too often. I agree with you, but I mean, waiting for the police to do something. It was like 2 days before these kids were ready to go out for summer, and those cops were just sitting there like, "Oh, we're waiting on shields. We're waiting on keys." I'm like, "Come on, guys, you've got guns. You could have taken out the doorknob and taken his butt out." And saved some of those kids, because those kids have phones and they were calling 911 over and over and over and over and over again, like asking for help. You got parents there, trying to get in there to get to their children, but they're being prevented. There was one woman, she got handcuffed, and she somehow talked a cop or a sheriff's deputy to uncuff her, and she hopped the fence and got to the classroom and got her kids out. And, like, you know, because I'm a parent, and parents will say this: shoot me, spare my child, you know. And I think she took that risk to say, you know, I will lay my life down for my child. You know, I've lived my life, let them, you know, have a shot. And those kids were like 7 and 8 years old. They hadn't lived, they hadn't seen anything. And it's just like this high school. You've got these kids in high school that had their lives ahead of them. You know, it was two that were shot and two teachers. But teachers, I'm sorry, you guys do not get paid nearly enough to risk your lives for this mess. And I think what's going to end up happening is that nobody's going to be able to be in a place where they can congregate to learn, to pray, to enjoy a movie, to go shopping. I mean, this is to the point where everything is going to be done online and Zoom because it's not safe to leave your home. It's absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. And you've got too many people who are just kind of tinfoil hat types that are seeing things that are not really there, like seeing threats that are not there. And it's awful, you know, and unfortunately, too many people are paying the price to this. They really are. So I'm going to go ask the question again. So those of you that are still watching, do you think the father in the Georgia case that just took place here a couple days ago, do you think he should be charged and be held accountable for what his son did? Like I said, I'd like to hear your opinions on that, everyone. Bueller. Bueller? Bueller. See, I just dated myself right there. That was a line out of a movie called That's a Hard Ass. Okay. I mean, this let's discuss this out. I mean, I'm open for it. I'm completely here for an open forum. So you know, if you've got questions or you've got statements, make them. I'm not gonna censor you. Okay. Andy said held responsible in some account. Yes. Okay. I mean, to a degree, yeah. I mean, I look at it this way: is you've got teachers, you got parents that are being held responsible when their kids don't go to school. You know, you've got teenagers who skip, and now you've got the parents being held accountable when, hey, your kid hasn't gone to school, therefore they're being delinquent, and you're gonna get fined. I mean, it happened to me. You know, with one of my kids. You know, it wasn't him being delinquent. It was because there was a situation at the school and he had a teacher threatening him. And like I said, he's autistic, and it was a whole thing. And I ended up getting drugged. My husband and I got drugged through family court for 7 months, trying to fight to keep our children because I had a judge who had some preconceived notion about who we were as people. And it was a huge mess. It was a huge, huge mess, and terrified the heck out of me because I didn't want to deal with that. But, so if they're willing to drag parents through the mud when their kid doesn't want to go to school, how is giving your kid the gun, knowing the kid has the gun, having a minor, he's 14, knowing he has the gun, knowing that, uh, I think there's some responsibility there on the parent there with this. Just like those parents in Michigan, they gave this kid the gun. They knew he had a lot of issues going on. The school had been talking to him about it, and they flat out refused to do anything. And then he went and killed those people in Michigan, and those parents have gotten charged and put in prison for this. America is a different environment to the UK here, but hold on. I don't want to read too fast. Where are my? There we go. America is different environment to the UK here, but I do understand. Okay, so Andy, you're in Great Britain, I'm assuming, or you said UK, so that could encompass Ireland, Scotland, and a few other places. Well, I think that's it, but Wales. But I mean, how would they handle this in the UK? I mean, mm, mostly knife attacks there in the UK. Okay. Yeah, I have heard about some knife attacks. So you guys, I mean, what are the gun laws in the UK? Are you able to just go in and buy a gun just about anywhere? Are there any checks and balances there? Are yours better than ours? Do you know? And do you have teenagers like as young as 14 going around stabbing people? I mean, I used knife attacks, but are these adults? Are these kids? Are these gangs? What's going on there? Because I would like to know. I know Australia, when they had one shooting, they pretty much just banned guns and just called it a day. It's a lot stricter there. Okay. So Andy said it's a lot stricter there in the UK. So why can't we implement that here? What's interesting about the UK and why America's so backwards? And gang culture's the same though in the UK. Okay, good to know, Andy. Um, UK, the UK was ahead of its time, when it came to social justice. Like, they had abolished slavery in the late 1700s. It took us to 1865 for us to do it. So interesting, just kind of think parallel that. And if they've got stricter gun laws and they're not having the gun violence that we're having here, maybe we should take a look at that. Like Australia, just like screw it. We had a shooting, we're done, no guns, nobody can get guns. Why can't we do that? I mean, I know people have a right to bear arms, but we've got to figure out there's got to be a happy medium here because like Chris Rock made a joke, but I truly believe this is the way it should go. Chris Rock made a joke saying that all bullets should cost $5,000, like each. He's like, because if you got to get a bullet and you got to pay $5,000 for that bullet, you're really going to think, okay, is this person worth the $5,000 I've got to spend to shoot you? That definitely puts things in perspective. Because he made a joke about putting bullets on layaway, and he's like, when I pay this off, people would make them. Yeah, that is a possibility. I mean, there is people always like to find loopholes and ways around things, so there is that. But I just thought that was funny because he said that, but there is a sense of truth about that. Because I do say if they overcharged for bullets, I think it might calm down some of the violence in this country. My goodness. I mean, my true crime channel, if any of you have looked at any of my previous videos, there's one case here locally that I talk about a lot. That's the Marissa Carmichael case. There's the Bloods and the Crips and all that gang affiliation involved in this case, too. And I have been threatened I don't know how many times. Crazy. Yeah, so, yeah, crazy. Absolutely crazy. But, I've had to be careful about what I post and what I say now because I've had enough people threaten me and say, yeah, we're going to put you where your husband is. And like I said before, he's dead. He died 2 years ago. Um, I, mm, got too much to do. I got this channel to do. I got to build this. You know, I like to call to action to everybody here. If you are tuning in for the first time, can you please subscribe? Because I need to get more subscribers so the algorithms can, you know, oh, thanks, Andy, can suggest me to other people. Because this is my retirement right here. This channel, you know, and I mean, yeah, there's a lot of Marissa on my channel, but there's other stuff I've talked about. I've talked about the Lindbergh baby case. I've talked about um, other local cases that have popped up, like TK Burton, which is a very bizarre one, but I think that one's going to end very well. So yeah, I mean, I've talked about lots of other things, and I'm branching out. Let me say that. I am definitely branching out. So, but now I'm talking about gun violence, and we've got a lot of it. And here in North Carolina, where I'm at, we do have, is my channel a law channel? It's a true crime channel, Andy. That is what it is. It is a true crime channel. Red True Crime. Talk about all the true crime. Historical, funny, sad, all of it. I talk about it all. So, like I said with this one, you know, you got a school shooting. That is crime, and I'm talking about the truth of the crime. So all aspects of it. When P Diddy, the P Diddy video came out, him beating up his ex-fiance. Yeah, that's true. All you do see these days is crime. I agree with you, Andy. When I did a video on that, talking about my own personal experience with DV. So, you know, there's other aspects that I do talk about. You know, social justice, social change. You know, I'm about to release another video. Once I get done on this live, I'm going to record. It's about a case about a community is the way. Can you expand on that, Andy? I'm not sure what you mean by that. It's an older case. It's been resolved, and the people who are responsible are in prison. But it does bring light to an aspect of a lot of these crimes that involve children. Love thy neighbors. Yeah, I agree. Andy, love your neighbors. I do believe that social services and welfare and all that needs to be looked at. You know, we've had too many kids where they have gone missing and parents have not been held accountable, and you find out the child is dead, and it's been some hiccup in the social system. You know, kids were removed for a reason, then they got put back, or they get put with foster families, and these foster families are not good. You know, too many things like that. And the question is, where's the oversight? You know, who's held responsible for that? Because, you know, it's not good. They try, but they can't save everyone. Yeah, I know, they can't save everyone. But there can be better accountability. I can say that. Because the case that I'm going to talk about, I'm going to upload later, is about Marcus Feisel. Yeah, some play judge and jury. I agree. It's about Marcus Feisel, and that is a prime example of where social services failed that kid. And unfortunately, where he got removed from and placed, he didn't stand a chance. The mom wasn't that great in that environment, and the foster parents he got put with weren't great. So, but I'll go into more detail on that when I do that video, but that won't be a live. That will be a pre-recorded with all the pictures and the evidence and all the stuff, and I will have that up hopefully tonight, if not tomorrow. But yeah, like I said, I think the father should be charged. I think he should be held accountable. I think the more these parents of these school shooters are brought in and held accountable for what their kids do, I think it's going to, I don't know, maybe make the families pay more attention to their children to keep them from doing this crap. Something, you know. Like the Uvalde, Texas case. That boy, his nickname in high school was School Shooter. You know, yeah, that's a thing. And I also, here's the other thing I want to put out there. And this was brought up in another true crime episode I was watching, but this is about a case that happened a couple years ago. But the Uvalde, Texas case, that Salazar kid, he was telling people, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do something big. I got guns. I'm going to do these things. Okay, Andy, toddlers are more at risk from parental abuse. Teens, like especially ones in care, are more or less trafficked into crime. Yeah, I would agree with that. Um, yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Small children just, unfortunately, they don't have enough advocates for them. People with special needs are another one that's completely just no one gives them enough care to keep an eye on them. So I understand that. I've made the pledge that I'm never going to die because my son does not get along with his younger sisters, and I know they're not going to take care of him like I think he should be taken care of, so I just can't die. I've decided that. Decided that a long time ago, but we'll see how that works out. But I think I forgot what I was talking about. That happens sometimes, old age. But there's not an answer to any of this, as I digress. Oh yeah, Uvalde, yeah. But the point I was going to make about that was, people heard this guy talk about. I'm the wall between them. Thank you, Andy. Um, he was telling people, and they all thought it was weird. And he even said that he was gonna go kill somebody, and nobody said anything. And that's the thing. When you even hear stuff, people. I mean, people make bad jokes. They say, "Oh, I'm gonna go shoot up a school or something." That's a bad joke, but that also could be there could be a grain of truth in what they're saying. They could be just putting it off like a joke so you don't catch on to what they're gonna do. So I'm gonna state this as this person stated in their video: if you see something, hear something, say something to somebody. Let the people with the power decide whether or not it's something to be worried about. Um, I truly believe that because there was a couple of guys I was in school with. Now, granted, I graduated high school in 1995, so it's been almost 30 years ago. And when I was in high school, we had Columbine. Columbine happened in '99, but you had the Stockton shooting, and that was a guy who went to an elementary school and shot up a playground with some kids. Now, granted, there was the clock tower shooting at the University of Texas or a college in Texas, but that wasn't children. That was a college, and that was a guy who went to that college. He was a Vietnam vet, PTSD, all that. And he went up there with a art rifle and started shooting people from a clock tower. So that was one of the first ones, school shootings that happened. And what's messed up is school shooting is not classified as a school shooting unless they've killed at least 4 people. Really? They actually put a number on that? Because I think if you go to school and you shoot one person, that's a school shooting. But apparently the criteria is like 4 people have to be killed. Yeah, very weird. But when I was in school, I remember Little Rock happened. I want to say like 93, 94. Little Rock happened. And it was 2 middle school kids. Andy said, noticing mental and anger issues and following up to educate the kids or people involved would help a lot. Yeah, I agree with that. I think mental health is something that people are ashamed to talk about, and there's a stigma behind it, but you need to discuss it. People need to know the warning signs. They need to be able to ask and talk to people and say, are you okay? I mean, I think all these things need to happen. But, with Little Rock, those kids were in middle school. They pulled the fire alarm and they waited for the people to come running out, and they were up on a hill and they had their one boy had stolen the guns from his grandfather's house, and he was just out there just picking people off as they came out of the building. Um, and then you had Paducah, Kentucky, which isn't far from where I grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio. But Paducah, that was a guy who went into a high school and was angry that they were allowing a prayer group to happen openly at the school, and he shot some people. So that was like, that was over religion. That's two right there. And then Columbine. We all know Columbine. That is the. I think at that point, Columbine was the worst one that had ever happened. I think Sandy Hook overtook it, or the school in Florida. I can't remember. Parkland. But Columbine. That was crazy because obviously those parents were not involved with those boys because they didn't keep tabs on them. They're like, oh, they're in the garage tinkering with stuff. We didn't bother to figure out what they were doing. And I still say to this, when your kids are small and they're quiet, they're up to something. You need to go check on them. I think that's the same thing with teenagers. When they're quiet, you need to check on them and see what's going on. Do a check in and say, hey, everything okay? Um, I really believe that. I don't think that ever goes away. But anger issues are more noticeable. Mental issues get more respect in America than here. Health services are not able to cope over here. Okay, that's interesting. Andy said that just now in the chat. But there, I don't know. Like I said, a friend of mine and I got into a debate about this. He wants to blame the video games of violent video games because you're able to role play into whatever character you want and actually do these crimes like RAPE, um, drive-bys, drug deals. You can do all these things, and you're not being held accountable. And he felt that the more you play these games, you do these acts, or you see these acts play out on the TV, you get more desensitized to it in general. You just get desensitized, and I mean, I can't argue with that, but I like to bring up video games don't help. The GTA and Call of Duty games, yeah, exactly. Yeah, those games, Andy, I agree. But I will say this: I think when both parents were out of the home, because you needed two incomes coming in to pay for things, I think that was the start of the downfall. Where kids were left to their own devices, in front of a TV. TV was watching them, or video games, technology advancing. I mean, we're all disconnecting from people. I was at a friend's house for dinner, and everybody was there on their phone. Nobody was talking at the dinner table. It's like, okay. Um, my late husband used to do that. We'd be anywhere, and he'd just sit there on his phone, and I'm like, dude, we're at a restaurant. You want to talk to me? Of course, he said no, and I'm like, okay, but that was another thing. But yeah, I mean, you see this happens a lot. So I think we as a people in general, with the advancement of technology, video games, phones, social media, whatever you want to add to that, I think that has overall desensitized us. Oh, sorry, long day. Desensitized us and made people standoffish. It's too easy for kids to get over. Okay, what is it? I have to do the thing. Okay, it's too easy for kids to get over 18 games. It was the same when videos came out. Right. Okay. I don't know. I don't think you can't blame it all on video games and violent TV shows. I think a lot more comes into play here. I really do. And I think that's just parents just not being parents. I think it's them just, I don't know, being selfish to a degree. I mean, my own kids, when my husband passed away 2 years ago, my kids at the time were 22, 20, and 17. And, well, my youngest was about to be 18, so, but she was 17. Technically, she was 17. I didn't handle it well. Not gonna lie. I didn't handle it well. And most parents are good. Yeah, there's an argument for that. But I wasn't home a lot. I went out. My marriage was not a good one. I was married to a man for 22 years that treated me not well. A lot of violence in the home. And when he passed, I was finally free. My kids were adults, and even though my youngest one was literally 3 months away from being 18, she was an adult, so I didn't have to be with them all the time. Oh, I'm sorry for your loss, Andy. So, but I mean, that's an argument my kids and I have had. They said, Mom, when he died, for the first 6 months, you just checked out. And I said, yeah, I kind of did check out. I mean, I didn't get into drugs or alcohol or crazy sex or anything like that. But I mean, I got out. I stopped being home. I got around people again. Oh, 30 years of bliss. Okay. Well, happy for you. I'm glad you had that. So, it's just one of those things. I wanted to figure out who I was. So yeah, I kind of disappeared, but I was a very present parent up until that point. So for 22 years, I was a very present parent with all three of those brats that I raised. So, and none of them were a school shooter. I am proud to say that. But it was one of those things. It's like we all needed to navigate loss like that. But I am curious to find out what the motive was, what the reason was. This boy decided to shoot two teachers and two students at the school a few days ago in Georgia. I would like to know. They've really not said why he did what he did. I mean, I'm sure it's going to come out, but I mean, they were quick to get him charged, quick to get the dad charged. Oh, sorry again. I didn't drink coffee before this. So, I don't know. Like I said, I like the back and forth here. I know some of you are on the fence about the dad being charged. I think they did the right thing, charging him, more accountability. But we shall see. We shall see. But any other questions or comments before I sign off? Anybody? Okay. Well, thank you for tuning in, and definitely share this video. Hit the like button if you liked it, and if you want to get notified, hit the bell and subscribe so you know when I upload things. Like I said, I've got another video that's going to be uploaded either later on tonight or definitely by tomorrow, but it's going to take some time for me to do all that. But I'll be covering cases across the board, international, local, nationwide, here in the States. Compelling things. So do my research and get it out there. But if you guys like crime, this is the place to be. I like to give voices to the voiceless. Oh, thank you, Andy, and thank you for the conversation as well. And like I said, I try to give a voice to the voiceless. Bring light to cases that normally would not be looked at. Like I said, like Marissa Carmichael. She's a woman of color. She was young. She had 5 kids, and she just disappeared. So that is definitely something that needs to be talked about. Her name needs to be relevant. It's been 8 months, almost 9 months, and no word from her. No word from her. Her kids are in this foster care system. I don't know. Well, anyway, I'm going to hop off here so I can get working on the other one. But again, thank you all for tuning in. And so subscribe, like, share, comment, and give me some ideas if you guys want me to cover something else, and I will talk about it. So again, thank you all for being here. This is Rebecca with Red True Crime, and I will be on here again and have a new video posted. And as I always say before I sign off, be weird, be rude, be safe, because if you're weird and rude, they will not take you. I guarantee it. So thank you all again. Have a great night. Be safe. Rebecca with Red True Crime. I'm out. Bye.